And that shaded area here, that gray area, that is what would be referred to as the current new week opening gap. And we had, a shortened trading hour schedule last Friday. So I don't call it Good Friday because I don't believe it was a Friday crucifixion, by the way. But the holiday schedule caused them to shorten trading hours. So it kind of messes up the new week opening gap for me. But I'm adding it here because I know some of you probably have that on your chart as well. I'm not referring to that one. I'm using this one here, 4140.50 and 4137 even. The reason why I'm doing that is because it's in close proximity to what the actual new week opening gap is for this week. So where we closed last Friday in shortened holiday hours to where we opened on Sunday. That is the little gray box area. That's there just to show. I'm observing it. That way you can see that it should be on your chart as you would understand. This is where we closed on Friday, and this is where we opened on Sunday. I personally do not use that if we have a holiday schedule that impacts Friday. So I'll look for the closest new week opening gap in the last 60 days in that range. If I don't have it, then I don't use it. What? I don't use it. So the reason why I don't trust the data, because it's not based on actual market normal times. So when the market would typically close on a Friday, that's not being factored in here. Even though, yes, the market did close on a Friday at the time that it did, I just elect not to do that because it makes me rely on another frame of reference that I would trust regardless of whether there's a holiday or not. So even if there was no holiday that impacted Friday's trading and we shortened the hours, if that didn't happen, and say it was a normal Friday, I would still have that 4140 and a half and 4137 on my chart anyway. So it kind of removes that uncertainty that I have unfortunately adopted over the years where there has been impact on this particular holiday. So therefore I just filter it out. Kind of like how, I'll use the Asian range from a Friday, the week prior, I'll use that Asian range on Monday's trading, which makes no sense to anyone else, understands there's an Asian range or whatever. Ask anybody about Asian range and how that might be useful, and they'll look at you and say that's nonsense. But that's somebody that hasn't really spent any time working with the information. So I don't trust the Sunday session. Like for those of you that are in Forex, I don't look at the Asian range on Sundays for Monday's trading. I use Fridays, and that might not be helpful to you. You may not make any decisions based on that insight, but that's what I do. That's how I look at it. And because the market's going to refer back to an actual full trading day versus where we just opened up. I have other tools that I would utilize for Sunday. I don't trade them anymore, but when I was trading Sundays, I would just use what you've been learning here. This is a new week opening gap. But that's different for Forex because indices open with the opening session on New York at 9:30, so that's an impactful time. Old new week opening gap, again, that's that 4140 and a half. Hit that as resistance. Notice it's not respecting the actual new week opening gap for this week. We traded outside of it. So again, that's the reason why I'm telling you, I don't care for it. If there's a holiday that's impacting Friday or Sunday, like say there's a Sunday, Monday influence, something causes the market to not be a full trading session, I'm going to go to the Tuesday and I'll use that as my opening. So, and here's what's the opening? I'll use the opening at midnight for Forex, or I'll use the opening price at the opening about 9:30 in the morning session. So there's a lot of rules, and I'll have all that, throughout this year, providing more of it for you. But it's better for me to teach it to you in context when I'm using it, and you'll see and you'll hear at the time. Like, I don't do these things every single week. If it's an impact that's a holiday, how many times do we have a holiday? There isn't that many. But you have to have a protocol to work within to kind of like filter out why you're going to use a specific tool or when you're not going to use a specific tool. And while I have a lot of tools and a lot of things that make it sound and seem extremely complicated, it's not complicated when you understand the rules and when I reach for certain things. So we'll play devil's advocate for a moment. I don't like when there is a new week opening gap framed when there's a holiday, as I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. But if we can trade higher and then this low were to find support, that's the same logic that I use with a new week opening gap. Meaning that I would like to see price stay above this low of that new week opening gap. So since we've traded where we're at now, I would like to see it. Doesn't mean I'm demanding it. I'm not trying to impose my will upon it. I would like to see it stay above that low and then create a imbalance in the form of a fair value gap that is a BISI, B-I-S-I, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. That is equivalent to something like this. Doesn't need to be that pronounced, but I would like to see that form in a run prior to this high forming. I'm sorry, prior to a run above this high. So we're somewhere between this high and where we are right now and this low. I'd like to see a fair value gap form and then set a stage for maybe potentially running up into, at the very minimum up here. I like that. And then maybe challenge that buy side liquidity pool up at 41.49. And should we trade above 41.49, I like 41.80 today.